one of the more confusing things from the Indiana game was not seeing Kalel Mullings early in the game. He didn't get a carry until there were 7 minutes left in the second quarter. He didn't enter the game when Michigan was inside the 10-yard line until their 9th snap inside the 10 of the game, and they had settled for 2 field goals inside the 10. Before that, I guess the Davis Warren fumble got him outside of the 10, but they failed to punch it in despite having that type of position on the field. And we do have Kalel Mullings explaining what the heck happened, or maybe not what the heck happened. He still doesn't know either why he wasn't in the game. We have that clip.
PSA, a lot of awkward silence in this clip.
Kalel, did you get an explanation from the staff why you didn't get a carry Saturday until late in the second quarter?
I don't know how to answer that one.
But you weren't injured or anything, right?
Nah, I'm not. Like I said, banged up, obviously. It's a long season, hurting for sure, but not injured. There's a difference between hurt and injured. I don't know.
Was it frustrating?
Obviously, playing on Saturdays and stuff, all of us want to be out there and playing and impacting. But at the same time, I was just focused on cheering on the guys and, hoping for the best and, just hoping that, we get points out every drive and we make every stop and just waiting for whenever my number got called.
Sharon Moore said after the game that Donovan Edwards had practiced better coming into the game, but then Ben Hall coming in and being the second running back in, Kalel being the third, he said that they wanted to get Ben Hall some carries for a while. It seems like, okay, maybe you get him some carries after Kalel, or maybe, when you're inside the 10, you go with the guy who gives you the best chance to score in a game you ended up losing by 5 in. This one, just not, I give Kalel credit for handling it the way he did, but still, it just doesn't seem to make much sense to me.
It's not like he's been putting up huge numbers, first of all. I think, what do you have, 13 carries for 18 yards against Michigan State or something like that? And then what was he against Oregon? It's not like he's been running wild. So I get that part of it, right? What I don't get is when they say, well, he's had a lot of carries this year. No, he really hasn't. Historically, compared to the bell cow backs that we've seen at Michigan. So just call it like it is. And you're probably a little worried about Ben Hall transferring if you don't get him some carries. And maybe Donovan Edwards has been running okay at times. He's had some plays. And so maybe he deserved to be number one. But who knows, guys? It's just it's been a weird year all the way around, right? And now I'm against when everybody says, well, you just need to bench the older guys and play the younger guys and F their feelings, right? And just go out and let these young guys play snaps. These are the guys that have won championships for you, and they're still auditioning and they still want to play football. And they've earned the right to play football. Kalel Mullings carried this team early in the year, flat out carried this team. They had no business beating USC, and he's the reason they beat USC. He's had some huge runs that led to some victories. So it's pretty clear to me that he's a little frustrated, but I think there's a lot of frustration to go around this year, guys. It's just been that kind of year. So if they're going to beat Ohio State, for example, on the road, which they aren't, spoiler alert, but if they were going to have a chance in that game, you're going to need a guy like Kalel Mullings and to wear a team down and with the running game. That's all there is to it. And he's going to be one of those guys that's going to have to really bring it that game. So hopefully keeps his head in it. Hopefully we see him have a good game against Northwestern, and grateful for what he's done for this program for the last several years, moving positions. And I don't think we've seen the last chapter with Kalel Mullings yet.
I'll say this just to start. I thought Kalel's a pro, and he's a team guy, comes from a great family, has a good head on his shoulders. To see that guy as bothered and clearly, just let's call what we saw, in the clip, what you hear in the clip. He's biting his tongue. He's incredibly frustrated. And I think he has every right to be, because first off, all those things aside, in Saturday's game, scores their only offensive touchdown, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh yeah, only touchdown. Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy who's really won you the USC game. I think you can make the argument won you the Minnesota game. I think what I come back to is that it's sort of like this through line with all of these things we've heard that ails this team this year is that it's a gross overreaction to things that they see in practice or not knowing exactly what you have, whether it be the quarterback situation, whether it be, the battles at center and right tackle in fall camp, whether it be special teams and saying, what the recipe is to fixing Tommy Doman or that you're going to have your guys prepared for looks that Oregon gives you weirdly on special teams. It's, it all kind of comes back to the fact that I think that this team has been pretty mismanaged from top to bottom. And that's with position coaches. It's with the head coach. I think it's with roster construction. And no, Kalel has not played, at least I struggle to say not played well. We even asked Sharon more about this before last week's game. Like he broke all these tackles early in the season, hasn't done it the last 3 or 4 games. And Sharon more straight up said, like, yeah, it's hard to break tackles when, you get to the second level or you don't even get to the second level. There's a guy right in your face already. And I don't know how hammering Donovan Edwards changes that. I don't know how hammering Ben Hall changes that. I'll tell you what, it doesn't change that. So, it's just been so odd. It's been, I think a lot of the decisions they make are way too reactive. And now, it's clear. I'm not speculating here. Like you can see it in the clip. You've kind of affected the psyche of a guy who, outside of Colston Loveland, has probably been your best offensive player this year.
No doubt. And just because it's a weird year doesn't mean you have to keep doing weird things that don't make sense, right?
Yeah.
It's and also his lack of production, like you said, Anthony, has a lot to do with the offensive line just regressing as the year goes on. Maybe it's the level of competition. I'm sure it's part of it, but they're just not run blocking at all at any sort of level that is good. And the only guy that's really been able to make anything out of some of those runs has been Kalel Mullings. Donovan Edwards has done it lately as well, but inside the 10 is the most egregious part of it to me, which is he's the guy you've gone to all year in those situations. There's a reason why he's been the guy that you've gone to in those spots, and he's delivered. He leads the team in touchdowns. He leads the team in rushing yards, and to not go to him until your 9th snap of the game inside the 10, when a lot of the things you were doing weren't working. Alex Orji coming in, kind of, they only ran other than the one pass play that ended up being a fumble. So it was technically a rush as well. And all those plays, and Kalel Mullings only got 2 of them. And on one of those rushes, he scored a touchdown. So that was confusing. And, just another thing on a long list of things that haven't gone right this season in a game that they could have won. It's all 3 road games this year, I think they could have come out on top in, and, then you're looking at a completely different season, but they haven't been there. And that's the reality of what this team is. And that's why so many people are already looking towards next year. Of course, you want to upset Ohio State, but we'll see, if that could even happen or get to a bowl game. Probably got to beat Northwestern for that. So, but this was, I thought, a disappointing thing.